You clicked this video for one simple reason. You want to get ultra rich, not wealthy, not just comfortable. I'm talking about ultra rich in your 20s. And the truth is, I don't blame you at all. I'm not here to moralize about how money won't buy you happiness, but I do want to talk about the relationship between money and happiness before we dive into the 3 principles to becoming ultra rich in your 20s. Here's how it starts. Since 1971, money stopped being backed by anything real. And that made it by definition fake. The central bank is unaudited and it just creates numbers. And today, money represents stored energy, your time, effort, and work. Interestingly enough, though, the original meaning of the word happy meant luck in the Indo-European language. So when people say money doesn't make you happy, what they're really saying is energy doesn't make you luck. And we all know that's simply not true. The more energy you have, the more effort and resources you can put into your life. And then the more opportunities or luck naturally opens up to you. It's called increasing the surface area of luck. In other words, money does buy energy and freedom, and that does make you happy. So I admit this video is not for everybody. It's going to be for the type of person who looks at the world and sees a horrifying reality. They know that if they don't decide what they're worth, the world is going to dictate it for them. And usually it's going to pick an insultingly low number. You see, with robots and AI rapidly taking over the job market, the value for ordinary work is getting closer and closer to neo-feudalism or modern-day slavery. But I want you to pay attention to this video because at the end, I'm going to show you how to escape this trap. Early on, I saw most people trading their time, health, and dreams for a paycheck. And it left me feeling with nothing lasting. I mean, I realized that some people traded more and some people traded less. But then I started to find out that the ultra-wealthy hardly traded any time at all to make enormous, truncated, or outsized returns. And once I saw that path existed, I followed it and I built a 9-figure company from my garage. That's 9 figures in revenue. And then I became an early investor in SpaceX and over a dozen other tech ventures. But the unfortunate truth is, even with all of my insights and all my experience, I can't tell you what to do, and nobody can. But I can give you something far more powerful than just advice. I can give you the 3 core principles, the mental models that will completely rewire your mind and allow you to make the right decisions to get ultra rich in your 20s. I want to install the beliefs in your mind that making wealth is not just a possibility, it's an inevitability. So let's dive into it right now. Principle 1 is to concentrate your focus if you want to get ultra rich in your 20s. Wealth has to become your unwavering aim, period. It doesn't matter who tells you otherwise. Casual interests will not cut it. And Andrew Carnegie, one of history's richest men, he once said, put all your eggs in one basket and then watch that basket grow. His relentless obsession with his industry, which was steel, was not casual at all. It was all consuming. And when I first read about Carnegie's life, it resonated deeply. He was just some Scottish immigrant, but he had an unwavering obsession. And I never went to prom. I felt like an outcast. I spent most of my weekends in my teens and my 20s working late in the night. And even when I did travel, I always was on my laptop building. And that single-minded commitment wasn't a sacrifice. It was the price of admission. And I don't share my story just to grandstand with you. I share it because that's what I cared about. And maybe as you're listening to this, there's something in your life that you care about more than anything else. And the rest of the outside world might make you feel numb or just like a distraction. And all you want to do is build your dream. I was there too. See, society conditions us to see this kind of focus negatively. They label focus as a pejorative word, like it's obsessive. But here's the truth. Getting rich isn't just about chasing money. It's about chasing the best version of yourself. It's about becoming someone whose value to the world is so outsized that you get those truncated or outsized returns back. And athletes know this better than anyone. Athletes invest thousands of hours practicing until excellence becomes second nature. When have you ever seen a top sports star stressing out about ticket sales while he's playing? You don't. He doesn't even think about it because he knows he's great and people want to pay to see greatness. You can't casually stroll into the NBA and be one of the greatest shooting guards of all time. And wealth is no different. You can slowly accumulate wealth, and you can do it over decades. But that's like the Jack Bogle model at Vanguard, buying index funds. Why wait for 40 years for something, though, with the age of AI where you could do it in 4 months? I'm serious. Time is accelerating. You could make the argument that more has happened for civilization in the last 100 years than has happened in the previous 10,000 years combined. And see, we don't live in your dad's world anymore or your grandpa's world anymore. 1 year now on planet Earth with AI and humanoid robots, that's similar to hundreds of years of previous generations. So when you choose this path of becoming ultra rich, people in your friend group, they're going to swarm you and they're going to say, hey, you should enjoy life. Loosen up, buddy. But here's the truth. You can either prioritize wealth or prioritize your distractions. You can't have both. One of the biggest lies young men are told is that they can do it all. That's not true. Priorities dictate results. Also, if you truly love something, it does not feel like work. It's your passion. And it's at that intersection that gives your life meaning. That's when you feel most alive, is when you're on a mission. A professional athlete thrives because he prioritizes his sport above everything else. I'm often reminded of how Kobe made it an all-consuming obsession for himself. And it's the same with being ultra wealthy. Focusing on wealth creation, on skill building, on learning and creating real value, that puts you into a flow state that's infinitely more fulfilling than the dopamine hits from superficial, everyday interactions. I want you to grab a pen and paper, though, and practically implement this. Draw a line down the center of a piece of paper and list on the left. List what you'll no longer do. It could be pointless coffee meetings where people just want to pick your brain. It could be endless scrolling or immediate responses to every trivial message. It could even be catching up with old high school buddies or college friends. It could be chasing girls or entertainment. Whatever it is, I want you to establish your boundaries right now. It reminds me of how we know a country exists. See, countries are defined by their boundaries. I recently saw this ultra-wealthy presidential contender. His name's Vivek Ramaswamy. And he said that America isn't a place. And I don't think I've ever heard a more ignorant statement in my life. Of course, America is a place. Yes, there's ideas and an identity and a culture that we export globally, but America's a physical place with lines, borders, and boundaries. And guess what? You as a human being are no different. Regardless of what country you're watching this from, list what you'll start doing and what you'll stop doing today. What you'll stop doing is on the left. What you'll start doing is on the right. And when you list what you're going to start doing, you're setting your boundaries for acquiring high-value skills, relentlessly educating yourself, building businesses, and pursuing opportunities that match what I call your personal leverage rate, or your PLR. We're going to get more into that in a second. But the clearer you become about these two sides of your list, the faster you're going to identify what's holding you back. Concentration of force is your pathway out of mediocrity. You have to see it like a prison break, because it really is. When you see what's coming, if you're not rich, it is a very dark future for you. So you have to see it as if it's a prison break or you're escaping a filter. All right, principle number 2, it's your time is worth way more than you're being told it is. Now, the fastest way to shift your mindset towards wealth is this simple. You want to set a delusionally high personal leverage rate, a PLR. Think of it like an hourly payment to yourself. And you can forget quoting all the modern self-help gurus for this, because Benjamin Franklin said it best. He coined the famous term, time is money. And he lived by that maxim. Every wasted hour was a lost opportunity to earn, learn, or build. And I made my own neologism called PLR, or personal leverage rate. And here's how to explain it. Jeff Bezos is a great example of this, because his PLR, his personal leverage rate, is roughly $8 million an hour. Of course, that's not income. That's due to his Amazon.com holdings. And Elon Musk is the same, but depending on the market conditions of his private companies and public companies, his PLR, his personal leverage rate, is between $2 million to $25 million an hour. In 1 hour, that man can make $25 million. So why can't your PLR, your personal leverage rate, be half of Bezos or half of Musk? Or if you're feeling really ambitious, why not double them? They were just like you at one point in their life. They were in your shoes and they were trying to come up. So have a big ambition and don't be shy about it. Here's a simple scenario to help you understand your PLR a little bit better. Let's say you order a package on Amazon and it arrives defective. It's broken. Now, do you spend an hour returning it? If so, you're subconsciously saying that your time is only worth $50. Someone who truly values their time simply throws away the item and reorders it. To a scarcity mindset, that's going to seem reckless to just get rid of something because it's defective. You might hear people say, well, you're wasting $50, but that misses the bigger picture entirely. The real waste isn't the money, it's the attention. Every minute spent returning a trivial defective item could have been invested in solving bigger problems for the world. And that could be worth thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands with your PLR rate, your personal leverage rate. So when your time feels cheap, your decisions trap you in mediocrity. And that's why your PLR must seem outrageously high, because bold goals rewire your brain. And every decision aligned with this elevated standard reinforces the reality that your attention is precious. And you can take the other side of the view too, that scrolling social media or managing trivial daily tasks, that wires your brain for mediocrity. So beware of the trap of mental masturbation. That's visualizing without acting. Your personal leverage rate isn't something you daydream about. It's something that you live by. All right, so stop returning the $50 items, the $100 items. Start valuing your attention at millions per hour. Once you do, the path to real wealth becomes astonishingly clear to you. Hey, so stop returning the $50 items, stop doing the basic stuff, and start valuing your time and attention, your PLR rate, at thousands of dollars an hour, tens of thousands of dollars an hour, or even hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars an hour. Because once you do, the path to becoming ultra wealthy in your 20s becomes a lot clearer. All right, principle number 3. This is the final principle. It's having a burn the boats mentality. So this is powerful because if you truly want extraordinary wealth, you have to make retreat impossible. Your brain's going to always look for an exit. So you want to tell your brain that there is no exit. And this isn't just a motivational talk. It's a survival instinct that you're going to harness as a weapon. One of the best decisions I've ever made was always forcing myself as I rose up the income ladder to stay uncomfortable. And one of the ways I would do this is if I made tens of millions of dollars, I would dump it into real estate and I would be cash poor. I remember buying apartment buildings and a lot of commercial buildings, and I was cash poor while owning all these assets. What I was doing, though, is I was declaring war on comfort. I was betting on my future growth. And if I stagnated right then, I would have gone chapter 11, bankruptcy. But that uncomfort was what I needed to keep growing even when I was making tens of millions of dollars. The pressure, though, it wasn't suffocating. It was clarifying. And I'll share another story with you. Early in my journey as an entrepreneur, I spent $25,000 on an ad buy for leads that turned out to be completely fake. The person who sold them to me pretended he was another company that was well respected in tech. And I didn't scrutinize the invoice close enough. And it just evaporated and the person disappeared. And let me tell you, that was devastating. I felt crazy that I'd lost $25,000. And it was a significant amount of my corporate balance sheet at the time. I thought I was going to convert that leads into dollars. And that crushing failure forced me to master the art of generating prospects organically. I learned to craft persuasive products and build services that actually spread virally. Pressure transformed my costly mistake into an invaluable education. And it did much more than comfort ever could. Most people see money as a survival tool or something that keeps them just comfortable enough to stay average. And I know the economy can be rough out there for a lot of people, so I don't mean to belittle anyone if you're watching this. But that mindset of survival is death to your ambition. Money is energy, like we discussed earlier, and it's so much more powerful when it's used as a lever for growth. It is a PLR, a personal leverage device, and it helps you escape the trap. So the phrase many of us have come to love online is burn the boats. You've probably seen it all over on merch and posters and everywhere, but it comes from a place most people don't know. In 1519, the Spanish conquistador Cortez landed in Mexico with only 600 men to conquer the overwhelmingly vast Aztec Empire. Can you believe that? His odds of surviving were so small, they were calculated to be around 300 to 1 or 500 to 1. And to ensure absolute commitment to victory, he ordered his men to burn their own ships. Now, this obviously eliminated any possibility of retreat, and it left them with only two choices. They were going to win or they were going to die. And when you burn your boats, you create a scenario where no escape, no fallback, or no excuse will work. And just like Cortez and his men, You remove every option from your life except for overwhelming victory. So burn your boats and watch your excuses burn with them. I hope you enjoyed these 3 decisions: your personal leverage rate, your PLR, obsessively concentrating your force, and burning your boats. These are going to set the stage for you becoming ultra rich in your 20s. You don't need a perfect skill or a foolproof plan. In fact, your first business will probably fail. Maybe the second one will fail too. But the right skills and business models will emerge out of the ashes of failure. That will give you clarity. And that's where you find your true passion. When you act in life, that action elicits information. You don't need perfect skills or a foolproof plan here. You need relentless action backed by intentional urgency. And the right skills and business models are going to emerge naturally from the environment of clarity and necessity. When you act, that action reveals the information that you're seeking. The first business or idea that you pursue, it will probably fail. But it doesn't matter. Fail quickly, learn relentlessly, and then course correct and pivot. Momentum alone is your ally. Comfort is your enemy. Every day not spent learning and building is another day surrendered to mediocrity. Now, I'm not promising this will be easy, but I'm showing you a reality. And given enough focus and pressure, you'll be astonished by how quickly wealth can come into your life. So pound that subscribe button. Join the #1 aspirational community on YouTube right here and click to watch my last video. And then I'll see you guys on the next one.